What's up, kind people of YouTube? My name is Ahmed, and welcome back to yet another video. Today, I want to talk about Pulp Fiction and the year it came out in. For me, 1994 was an iconic year for films, and I'm sure a lot of people agree that there are certain years that become iconic in the way the films are released in that year. And 1994 was such a year where multiple great films were released, including the iconic Pulp Fiction that I want to talk about. The other iconic releases of the year were Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, and if I'm not wrong, The Lion King also came out in 1994. It was a very good year for films, especially considering the number of great films that came out that year. So let's get into Pulp Fiction. I will make a video on Forrest Gump and Shawshank Redemption. So hit that like button and the subscribe button in case you want to hear about Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction, which I'm talking about, and Forrest Gump. So watching Pulp Fiction was an interesting film for me because I watched it in 2014, if I'm not wrong, nearly 20 years after the fact, and it was an experience because it's not a linear film, it's a non-linear film. The narrative jumps all over the place. There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of glorification of violence done by Quentin Tarantino, but I think that's Quentin Tarantino's style, and that's what he brings into his films. You look at any of his films and there's always a lot of blood in his films, there's a lot of glorification of violence, and he does it tastefully. Like, if there's violence in his films, it's not going to make you cringe. He is a self-proclaimed cinephile, so that makes a lot of sense. He started out working for a video renting place. Let's get back into Pulp Fiction and why I love the film so much. The three reasons that I think made this film what it is the unique narrative that Quentin Tarantino brought up in the film. Secondly, the masterful dialogues that this film has, and the fact that there's always the iconic delivery of the masterful dialogues that Quentin Tarantino has written. I mean, nobody can forget the iconic line from Pulp Fiction delivered by Samuel L. Jackson, "I dare you, I double dare you." Yeah, I'm not going to complete that, but you get the point, right? Of course, one of the biggest things that Quentin Tarantino films have are the unique cast. Unique ensemble cast is never one actor that's in lead. There's always an ensemble cast that I've noticed with his films that make his film stand out. Let's talk about the first point and the unique narrative of the film. First of all, the film is divided into various chapters, and each chapter tells a part of the story, and that part of the story may or may not be in chronological order. It's definitely not in chronological order now that I think of it. And what happens because of this is you get the whole picture, but then you have to do a little bit of work to make sure that each of the scenes are connected to each other. There are films that are not linear, but they have different styles of being non-linear. What I like about Pulp Fiction is, despite it being non-linear, it's divided into very clear subsections, very clear chapters which link together very loosely. The one thing that I want to bring up here is there's always an unreliable narrator on screen. So when you're talking about the film, whether you believe the character or not is up to you, and that's the point of an unreliable narrator. This non-chronological order keeps a lot of people hooked. Most crime dramas are not structured this way. Most crime dramas are not generally structured in a non-chronological fashion. The second thing that I want to talk about is the dialogues. What makes Pulp Fiction what it is are the dialogues that are written by Quentin Tarantino. There are very few filmmakers that use dialogues properly. Most films have, like, you'll have two characters interacting with each other, and there's, okay, the character A says something, character B says something, and then you go back and forth. That's generally how films deal with it. But with Quentin Tarantino, I've noticed that there's a lot of overlay of dialogues, and the dialogues in this film are really smart. Each dialogue has a meaning to it, and the lines are memorable, and that makes this film stand out so much more, because if there's a callback value to the film, it makes it that much better, and then you can walk out of the theater and start quoting the film immediately. I've seen so many of my friends quote Pulp Fiction without actually ever seeing Pulp Fiction, which is wonderful. That means that the lines, the dialogues have reached the people. Whether you've seen it or not, it doesn't make a difference. He's made sure that the dialogues have eventually made an impact on pop culture. Of course, it's not a Quentin Tarantino film without the iconic cast of the film. It's not Pulp Fiction without the iconic cast of the film. film is you have multiple great actors involved in the film. Of course, you have Thurman in the film, who appeared in another Quentin Tarantino film. Pretty sure by this point you know the scene that I'm talking about, where John Travolta and Thurman are talking about Kill Bill. That scene is iconic. Then you have John Travolta. Then you have Bruce Willis in the film. Of course, Samuel L. Jackson. There's a scene with Quentin Tarantino in the film as well, which was very interesting to watch. So the cast of the film is iconic. I don't think there have been a better list of casts in a film that have been more iconic than this. Of course, I think Pulp Fiction's cast made the film what it is. Samuel L. Jackson's delivery of the I Dare You, iconic. John Travolta's Royale with Cheese, the delivery of that, brilliant. And Bruce Willis's performance in the film is something that makes him stand out from the other actors in the film, which is something great because you're in a cast that is so star-studded. And of course, Thurman throughout the film was iconic. Her dance scene with John Travolta, that will remain memorable. And overall, Pulp Fiction is a film that goes down for me as one of the films that I might rewatch anytime I want, and it's something that stands out for me. There are a couple of films that I generally rewatch: Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump. Surprisingly, all three from '94. That rewatchability of the film makes the film stand out from almost everything else that I've seen, and that is why it's considered an iconic film. Peace, that's been my time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do leave a comment if you want to see a lot more videos like this. I'm also going to be creating a lot of community polls in the next few days so that I get an idea of what kind of films and TV shows that you want to see. And so if you're watching this video, do go to the community tab and vote for the films and TV shows that you'd like to see. Also comment on this video so I can add those things to the poll as well. Peace, and see you in the next one really soon.